I know you read that title. Travis Scott ASTROWORLD has just recently been announced by the man releasing the album himself. The only questions are you excited about it? Do you want to hear from it? What do you expect and what do you want from it? If you're asking me, I heard about ASTROWORLD last year. I always look in the Wikipedia discography for a lot of artists to see what their next project name or, information on it might be, because I'm always excited to hear about it. Travis Scott, when he released Birds in the Trap, I was excited to hear what he would be releasing next, so I went to his wiki page and found out that the next album he would be releasing would be titled ASTROWORLD. Travis Scott recently has been telling us that, his album along with the Quavo collab mixtape will be dropping soon. As to how soon, we don't know. With Travis Scott, soon could be anywhere from about 3 to 5 months. So if we're going off his words, we might not be seeing this thing until the end of the year. If you're hopeful and you're optimistic, I would say we might get something by next month, maybe October. Keep your fingers crossed. First thing that draws me to a title like this is the fact that the name is ASTROWORLD. What does that make you think of? It makes me think of Astro Boy. Now, a lot of people know Astro Boy as this American cartoon series, but it was actually a Japanese manga series that originated from the years of like 1952 to 1968. It was very popular, so much so that it leaked over here into America, much like other series like Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. But this was a little bit more low-key because it centered on the life of an android and his adventures. Although it depicted this boy as the hero for the entire series, it was also kind of a sci-fi adventure. The show also follows this futuristic world. The protagonist in the series was set in future time. What is Travis Scott really known for? His really atmospheric, ethereal, and futuristic at times production. I think it's safe to say that Travis Scott is probably, as far as production is concerned and as far as being ahead of the curve, as far as what we want music to sound like in the future, I think we're going to be looking at Travis Scott. The fact that this new album is going to be called ASTROWORLD really doesn't surprise me, but I am curious to know what elements that he will be including into this album. Is he going to make himself the protagonist of the album and we're going to follow a concept? He's going to be the android for the entire series. That would be amazing. Keep in mind, it's not called Astro Boy, but ASTROWORLD. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that my concept may be correct, but if it's not, I still expect a futuristic sound from Travis Scott. Being ahead of the curve is something that Travis Scott has been known for when it comes to production. He wouldn't have amazing songs that were made back in 2015 like Antidote, or amazing feature sets like Pick Up the Phone with Quavo and Young Thug, or Goosebumps with Travis Scott and Kendrick Lamar without Travis Scott being ahead of the curve. So knowing that this album is going to be called ASTROWORLD, I do want the first thing that I expect from this thing to be a concept. My biggest issue with Travis Scott in recent years, or through my entire listening experience with his music, I've always had this empty feeling after leaving a project, feeling like I didn't learn anything new about Travis Scott. I don't feel like he connects deeply enough with his audience. Although his music is great, it's very refined and polished, I don't feel like he connects with anybody. At least that's me. When I listen to his music, I don't feel this connection or, feel like I left the project learning anything significantly new about Travis Scott. I feel like majority of the time he's guarded himself and, it's always a depiction of the things around him, not necessarily himself. So for the title of this album to be ASTROWORLD, for him to be depicted as Astro Boy and him dissect himself as an android would be amazing. I could picture music videos for this thing where there's scientists picking at his brain and then we get a look into each memory. That would be amazing as well. Like I said, a concept doesn't make an album crazy or amazing or anything like that, but I would definitely love to hear a concept album from Travis Scott, or at least something thematically that could get me to go to each track and say, wow, I can connect all of this. Again, this is a huge stretch. I could be totally wrong with the fact that he's trying to connect ASTROWORLD to Astro Boy, but I want to be right so bad because I would love for this to be a thing. Now, I was expecting a release date from Travis Scott. I would have preferred one maybe a year from now. I know a lot of people will ask me, well, if you're so excited for this concept, then why do you want to wait a year? It's not that I want to wait, but I feel like the longer you take to do projects, the more time you have to notice if there are imperfections or slight mishaps in the music you make. I feel like if he would have taken a little bit more time with Birds in the Trap, we might have gotten a better album. Because although I liked it first listen for its sound alone, there was nothing of significant value and or substance that brought me back to the album. I got tracks like Goosebumps, Pick Up the Phone, maybe the Bryson Tiller track on Some Days, The Ends, and Coordinates. I know a lot of people love Beebs in the Trap. Like I said, it wasn't a bad album. I just think it could have been better with more time. And especially with Travis Scott releasing these singles that are very shoddy, that aren't that impressive, that do sound sonically pleasing, I wouldn't necessarily say there's anything about them that would cause you to come back to. Having ASTROWORLD come out a year after we got kind of a mediocre album, after we got RODEO, which was his greatest project, in my opinion, is a little bit concerning. And again, if this does follow the concept that I want it to, I really want this thing to be refined and very polished. I want it to be futuristic. I don't want it to have a traditional hip-hop boom bap sound. Although that is the genre and the category that we're going to fit it into, I want it to be experimental to some extent. After After all, Travis Scott being ahead of the curve, I do want him to be ahead of the curve. I want him to do something that really no one else is able to or has done yet. And what better opportunity than to set yourself up with this concept? But the release date was definitely concerning for me. But now, more time spent on anything doesn't mean that it's going to come out better. Leave something in the oven too long, what happens? It ends up getting burnt. So it's not to say that the more time he takes on this project, the better it's going to come out. But I do think a concept like this, if I'm correct, would be better with more time. Even if it wasn't a concept, Travis Scott should take some more time to release projects. I love the fact that he wants to stay relevant by releasing new projects and new music, within short time frames of one another, but give yourself time. If the inspiration is there, then release the project. Don't do it just because you're in high demand. The next thing I'm really hoping for with this album is some sort of lyricism from Travis Scott or evolution as a rapper. I don't feel like Travis Scott has really gotten that much stronger as a rapper by himself. I'm not saying Travis Scott is, giving horrible bars and these struggle, cringy bars all over the place, but you could put anybody else on Travis Scott's song and I think it could actually still be a hit. The thing about Travis Scott that no other rapper can do is that dark voice that he has. The voice perfectly aligns itself with the dark, ethereal vibe of the production that he has set on almost every track that he releases. So although you could put any artist on Travis Scott's record, I doubt they would be as strong as Travis Scott is on his own records. That being the case, I would love for him to improve as a rapper so we could get better, more quotable bars. Bars that will kind of trigger you to go back to a project, because there are some tracks that I hate for the music sound, but love for the fact that they deliver some deep, hard-hitting lyricism. That's not going to make this album perfect or great, but it would be a nice addition. We have next to no information about Travis Scott. That's why conceptually and lyrically, this is his time or opportunity to give us something great. Now, when you talk about what Travis Scott has to offer, you kind of want to discuss the lane that he's in. I would say he's in a lane of hip-hop that doesn't necessarily need lyricism to be enjoyable. We're also staying in the lane that having something sonically pleasing is a priority. When you're discussing what genre Travis Scott falls in, that's very important because you do want to kind of know if he does release a concept album, will he have any features with it? For the most part, don't work that well when you're releasing a concept album or any album where you want to expose more of your own identity. And like I said, with the past couple albums, Travis Scott's been giving us a lot of features. So I don't want to see a whole bunch of features on this thing. I don't want to see The Weeknd on everything, or Future on everything, or Quavo on everything. Not saying that those people can't make great music and a collaboration with Travis Scott wouldn't make for a hit, but I am saying they could strip his concept. Music doesn't need to be deep. It doesn't need to be meaningful. It's not like responsible for pushing the Black Lives Matter movement, but I do think it's important to have something conceptually that could push this album forward, something more than just a catchy beat and a feature. I would like for this thing to be anywhere from between 12 and 14 tracks with a couple of interludes sprinkled in there, maybe 2, max 3. Again, if you are going for a thematic album, I would suggest having, some skits or some interludes in there that kind of help to describe what you're going for with the entire album. I don't want the instrumentals dominating every song. I do want the presence of the artist as a priority before the instrumental. I've said in videos in the past that these things go hand in hand, but with Travis Scott, him being looked at for production mainly, that's why I feel like he needs to improve himself as a rapper so that he's just as sought after as his production. I want him to kind of expose his identity more so that he's not portrayed as just the trap version of Kanye West or Kid Cudi. Travis Scott has been very comfortable these past few albums releasing music that is very trap inspired when it comes to production. So I would love for him to be a little bit more experimental with his production, give something that might be a little bit more lively, a little bit more jazzy, or even, we don't know. Travis Scott hasn't tried these things before. But if it's going to be a technical album and it's going to follow the theme that I thought about the Astro Boy, it having a little bit more technical, robotic production wouldn't be a bad thing either. But I think Travis Scott has the unique opportunity to evolve into something more than just a trap version of Kanye or Kid Cudi. The thing about Kid Cudi and Kanye West in a lot of aspects is the fact that at some points in their career, when it comes to their music, they were so personable. They were so easily identified with. I think Kid Cudi's most recent project, which I don't think was the greatest thing he's ever released, he got really personal, came across very vulnerable on that project. I think it was a step in the right direction from something like A Speeding Bullet, but I could say I view people like J. Cole and Drake in the same context of artists that I don't feel the need to go as deep into their discography or as deep into their lyrics. A lot of what they discuss is very easily understood. It's not something that you need to have a textbook and a scalpel to go in and dissect. Although a lot of their music sounds good and is top of the charts sometimes, and a lot of people view them as some of the best rappers of their time, Travis Scott falls into that same category of people that lyrically I don't really care about. So for his music to follow a theme, if he doesn't want to get too deep into his personal life, would be great. From Travis Scott with this project, I think he could actually benefit from a slight image evolution. Are we really gonna sit here and act like DJ Khaled didn't just put one of the most lyrically deficient artists on his entire album? Gonna sit here and tell me DJ Khaled called Travis Scott up and was like, hey, give me some of that straight I need it for my project. Travis Scott was scattered all over that project and gave nothing to it. As far as Travis Scott verses are concerned, they could easily be interchanged and recycled from each other. I wouldn't say there's that much about any of the verses from Travis Scott that is that hard hitting or deep. And I say deep because it doesn't even appear as though Travis Scott really cares about what he's rapping about. Some of the stuff that he puts in the album is just like it's there just to be there. And when he does these interviews, the personality doesn't necessarily seem invested into the material that has been popularized all these years. So I would say that I'm concerned. I want to see where this is gonna go. I love the idea behind ASTROWORLD if it is a concept, and I think it's something that he needs. You know, at this point he needs to connect people to him and to his music in a deeper way, because production wise I think he's very talented, but as far as being a rapper and having anything to add to the conversation, I don't think he does that. I really hope that this project is going to be something special, but you know, hearing that he's also releasing a project with Quavo means, in my opinion, that he's working on multiple projects at the same time. I just want something to have all of his attention for a certain time frame so that we can get a polished body of work. Polished both sonically, lyrically, conceptually, thematically. Could be saving all these special songs with him and Quavo and give us nothing but concept for the album. I don't know. But these are the things that I want from his project that's coming out. I hope you guys have your expectations in some way shaped or centered around this album. I hope you're anticipating it, because I am. You know, Travis Scott's a great artist. But that's just how I'm feeling on the project. Let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about it. What are you looking for when this project comes out? And do you think you're going to enjoy it? It's been Shawn C. I'm out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a thumbs up if you did. And I'm out. Peace.